Hello guys, it's Alex here, and this is a DC Worlds Collide beginner guide that I wish I would have starting the game. There's very little available on what to do as a beginner on this game. I've been playing it since launch, basically a couple of days after it launched, and I'm just gonna answer some questions that I had starting the game that would be very helpful. I hope it will be helpful for other people, and if you people like it and it's popular, I will continue making videos like this. So one of my first questions, of course, is what to do with the store. But even before that, let's talk about like what the purpose of the game is basically to beat the campaigns. There's many different type of campaigns that you can do, and they all have a different feel to them. Even like here in adventures, there are some that for early game that are very important, and they all are a little bit different. Even trials here, they're a little bit different, but generally speaking, you want to build a team out of characters, and more than one team, a combination of characters that work together to achieve a result. The game generally wants you to move around characters and build different teams. It's not just one team, and to min-max basically how you build your teams, so you can have like some flexibility, 2-3 teams, to not build every character. Generally speaking, legendaries are the best characters, which it took me a while to realize how they look differently than epic. They're basically a little bit shinier. Like if you take a look at Wonder Woman, she's a little bit shinier. Her portrait around it glows a little bit more than Nightwing and Zatanna that are epic. And then you have again how's his name, Lex Luthor, which is also shinier. Kid Flash epic. Then you have Deathstroke as shinier. So that's basically it. Legendary generally are the best. Then you have epics that are. You have to use many epics in this game. They are very, very strong. Then you have rare elites before rares, and elites stop at level 220, as you see. So they are more for early mid game, and some elites are very nice. And then you have rares that have some niche uses, like this character. I know many people are using him in Crisis Watch because he puts out silence and stuff, and I haven't tried it, but I know he has some uses for some niche uses for some people. Then you have uncommons that are completely useless. Very nice here in this game. You have the character retraining, that if you invest in characters that you later realize that aren't the best, you can just take their stuff back for only 5 diamonds. So that's very generous of this game. It's not black and white that every elite is better than rare and every epic is better than elites, especially in the early game. And it also depends how many stars you have on them and what color. And some epics are better than legendaries. It's not black and white, but generally speaking, the more rare a character is, the better he is. And the best character in the game is Wonder Woman. So when you have here an option to select, they recently got a nerf, but it's still the best, I think. Here you have an option where you can select if you want Wonder Woman, Flash, or Superman. Both Superman and Flash are very strong, but Wonder Woman is by far the best of the three. And you have an option that I don't endorse necessarily or recommend, but there is an option for spenders where you get Superman at some point when you slowly spend some money. At some point you get Superman. So if there's a chance you will spend in the game, maybe it's one extra reason not to choose Superman, basically, because to get a character here, it's not like in Marvel Strike Force that you accumulate a shards and then you unlock them. You need to pull them from here, except from Lex that you can fuse, and I recommend you prioritize this. Lex is one of the best cards in the game. Those fusions are not worth it because you need those shards for to here, for example, to get Kid Flash up to a higher star, you need 80 of his shards and 300 of those, and then another 300 of those. So it's a waste to do the other fusions. You can get the characters from here in the mother box. You put desired and you can get them, or you slowly just pull those here and you will get them slowly over time. And one thing also to take into account when you build teams are those here, the team synergies. Some characters have them. So if you want to have a Red Hood, you put him with at least one character that has a crit tag. And there are many of those, like Batman's, that's not one of the strongest in the game. And even like Kid Flash has it, and Lex. So those are very versatile characters that you can are almost like leaders in a team. There are some stuff that happen with this, like he basically makes shields stronger. So you want to have one of those. Usually those need another two characters. So when you plan on building a team, you basically have the leader of those. Then you have two characters with single burst. Here is very nice because you can put like a Nightwing as a tank and one more DPS or one support, and you have 3 spots filled from out of 5, and then you put another 2 characters that you need. Generally speaking, you put 2 tanks, but on the front row. But there's some exceptions to that. Some characters are also good in the front row, like him, for example. He has like a skill where when he's in the front row, he will. People in the front row will have a damage reduction, so they will take less damage, and he has a specific kit that works differently in front and in the back row. Some other characters, like him, that he revives, and when he revives, he will attack the person that killed him. So you maybe want to have him in the front row, so he dies, and then he does insane damage and flips the match around. Some people are using Wonder Woman in the front row because she has this passive here, which says, not this, or is it? No, it's this one. Yeah, during battle, for the crits that she has, she will gain damage reduction. So because she will get up to 20% damage reduction, she's a bit stronger and she's a little bit beefier. She can go in the front row. Batman can go in the front row, but he's not great there. He just has a little bit of health pool, so he's not terrible there. Maybe you want some people to die and then her reviving them, but it's not really a great strategy to have people in the front row dying, because then your team will fall off quickly. He can be nice in the front row if you put especially a little bit of more health onto him. Also, there's here like him, Cyborg is this in the front row. It's not black and white that you have to put 2 tanks, but generally speaking you have 2 tanks in the front row. And then in the back row, generally speaking, you have 2 DPS and 1 support, or 2 support and 1 DPS. In some cases, you want to put a tank in the back row, especially the cases where you're fighting a Robin, which always hits the back row. So maybe you want to have a tank in the back row to survive the Robin attack. Let's show a little bit here, because positioning matters. It's something that we need to, and we have a Robin here, so it's a great example. So start mission. So, generally speaking, there are some exceptions in some kits, how they work, especially their super basic attack. Where Red Hood is, he will hit the person in front of him. Where Lex is, he will hit the person in front of him. The two people behind Red Hood, like Zatanna and Wonder Woman, are hitting the one person in front of Red Hood. So in this side, because on the top side, and Red Hood gets hit by three people, by the person in front of him, by Robin, and by the other DPS, the back row minion, how's he called? By their basics, so you want to have your strongest tank there, usually. Depends on who you have. And the person like here I have Raven. Raven hits the person in front of Lex. So, and the people in the back row, unless some people have stuff in their kits that are specifically hitting the back row or are hitting everyone, people at the back row are more protected, so you want to have there your lowest health and more damage characters like DPS and supports, and some supports can also go a little bit to the back in the front row, as I said, and like Red Hood is a DPS that revives, so he can go in the front row. But here, either you want, because you're facing Robin, you want to put a tank in the back row. So, for example, you can put Gorilla Grodd because he will absorb the attack because he has a higher health pool. Or you put someone there. There's a little bit more advanced strategy. You put someone there, either that survives and gets healed up, like a beefy character like a Wonder Woman that has drain now from Zatanna, or you put someone there to die and revive by Raven. This is also a strategy here. If you have someone, and as you see here, where after you go at least, I think level 30, I think level 30 on the front, not in the back, you will need two teams in the campaign, so keep that in mind as you're building your roster. If you have here, for example, you have a Batman here, maybe you want to put a Nightwing absorbing the Batman hits, because Batman does a lot of damage to one person, and you need a very beefy tank there, and Nightwing is a very beefy tank that actually when he gets hit, so he also deals damage by getting hit. So let's have it very quickly play out. So I have it in auto here. So if you are familiar with the kits and how you place people around, you know who are getting hit. So you have like three people hitting the one tank there. So you have Zatanna, if she died there, you have a Raven reviving. You have to adjust the turn order of the ultimates, as you see, because as you experiment with this, the match plays out differently when the ultimates are are going off in a different order. You want to have Zatanna's ultimate, for example, going off later because it hits one row, and it usually hits the front row first. But if it hits the back row, then people it will hit basically three people. So if you have Zatanna's ultimate going off later, it does less damage. Wonder Woman hits everyone, so you want Wonder Woman hitting more times. But if you have, like here, I have Raven, and Raven will revive my Zatanna, basically. And I don't care too much if Zatanna dies. I prefer Zatanna to die than Wonder Woman, even though Zatanna gives rain to my team when they're alive. But now that two people died, maybe Raven won't revive Zatanna. So you need to be careful with this strategy. Come on, Raven, revive someone. Okay. So, yeah. So when you're building a team, definitely want this. When you're building a team, you want to balance a little bit damage by character like Wonder Woman and sustain, like you have some tanks in the front row, but also like something like a healer, like Kid Flash, or even like Zatanna that gives drain to your team, especially if they have frantic. So you kinda need to know the kits. You see him that does a lot of damage in the back row, and also has his like even this does a lot of damage quickly to the back row that you can use offensively in some situations. So you need to know the kits to build a team that is the right solution to the problem that you are facing on the main stages. But it also needs to be a little bit flexible, because here you need sometimes you need only the colors, or sometimes you only need villains or heroes, superheroes. So you cannot only have one team. You slowly need to go into 2 or 3 teams. Maybe you have some other flexible characters, but you don't really need too much, like more than, I don't know, 15 characters. You won't use them very often. So you make some decisions with who are the for once luck who you have unlocked. I was betting a lot originally when I started here that I'm gonna pull those here and I will get the legendary, because even if you aren't getting the 1% that the chance is, you still have a guarantee at 150. The second time it took me 150. Wonder Woman was a little bit lucky. I got her earlier than 100. It was like probably like 50 pulls or something like this. Was in my first week playing the game. But this took me 150 trials. It took me a while to unlock. But then you get capped by like how many stars you can put on the characters. So here I cannot put stars onto him more than 2 stars, so he's not extremely usable, because when you put stars on characters, when you have them at a red stars here, you can activate this here, which is amazing. It has many. You definitely need to take this into account when you're building a character, and to have it active, because if you see here the difference, these I only have small, like level 10. He gains 12% attack bonus and defense bonus, he gains lifesteal, he gains damage amplification, and his crit rate gets increased by an additional 8%. So this also buffs the skill, like something like this, or even like an active skill. So this is amazing to have, and if you have a character here at 5, it's locked. You need to be at 6, at 1 red. Then you need to be at 8 to have the artifacts. So artifacts are also amazing because they basically give you a different skill besides all the stats that it gives you. And here 10% HP, 10% attack bonus, 10% crit, all the stats here, defense, HP, attack. It has also stats here and damage amplification, and here for the first ultimate gain 100% crit chance extra. So the combination of those two characters, you need those to be very effective in the late game, and the stats here are crazy, as you see, going to level 30, and it activates all of those here. It gives her crit damage for every crit rate that she has. So even if you pull a different legendary, it's first of all you have a very small chance that it can be a duplicate, like Wonder Woman and Lex, that could be very bad. Not all the legendaries here are better than some epics. Some epics are better than some characters here. For example, a Martian Manhunter is not that great. Even Cyborg is not that great. And C is not that great. So it's you can't always bet on those characters. Maybe you are lacking, you pull Flash and the Superman, that you can farm their shards, but maybe you will just be capped here and you won't even use them in arena if you cannot put artifacts and them having better skills, and you see rank 10 or rank 8. The good thing is it stops at rank 10, so those here, the extra that you see him being at the like silver or like diamond color, I don't know how you call this, like I have him here, but it's star that goes after 5 red, but it's only stats, it's not a like here where she will get an extra chance for stun, which is super nice to have. It's a very important and will buff her up a lot. So let's also talk a little bit which characters are strong. Like Wonder Woman, as I said, is one of the best characters. You have some elites here that are decent, like Scarecrow. He goes with her if for whatever reason you have shards for her that I happen to pull her a lot at the early game, so I use them together and they're very nice. He's a very decent tank. He's a nice healer. There is a little bit of use for those characters here, especially when you don't have many epics unlocked, but after a while you want to have them retrained and gain their stuff back here and use them on better characters. Especially when you're capped at levels, because they will stop at 220. Then you have here, like, Zatanna is amazing and she goes amazing with Wonder Woman. He's an amazing tank, he's an amazing healer. He's strong, but not the best. He's a little bit situational. He's very nice, but he also has a little bit of a weird kit that he does damage to his teammates. He sacrifices their health, but then heals them up, but the opponents have a small window to kill them while they're weaker. He definitely does a lot of damage and you get him for free by logging in. He's a very nice tank. I use him a lot. He's a very strong and many people have him, Zatanna, Wonder Woman and him basically in arena as a team. How many people? 1, 2, 3, 4. Then they add like maybe him that does some has here that's he gives extra damage amplification to people in the back row like Wonder Woman, or him that he does AoE damage, and maybe you can even activate this here, but usually when you have him with Wonder Woman you activate his because he gives them a lot of crit. She's amazing and is needed for here for the final boss. It's basically mandatory for this, so you need to have a Raven, and she's decent elsewhere and has some situational uses. Green Arrow does a lot of damage, he's great. He's situational, he's great, and this is amazing, so you definitely want to farm Ocean Master. He is very nice and he is being used even in arena, as I said. You don't necessarily have to prioritize game modes that much. You definitely need to go here because as you progress in the main stages, then you will get more here for free just by having some time for this to get automatically collected. As you progress in the main stages, you will unlock better gear. Like if you go through, I think 40-30, you unlock the best gear here with 3. Let's talk about gear a little bit. So yes, originally you have the very early game gear, and then you get to blue, then you get to purple, then you get to purple 1, then you get to like this one here. If you see a small diamond here on the bottom in the top left, then you have those here epic. So let's compare like to. So you have. Do I have something? Yes. So basically, those are around to unlock the 4th stat here, as you see, the crit stat, and this, because it has one diamond on the top, it gives you a little bit better stats, but it's more expensive to put those here. It needs more of those and more gold to put those on. So basically you aren't losing anything by upgrading gear, because you can use the previous gear to upgrade the next ones, but you are losing the gold by doing the upgrade back and forth. So you need to be a little bit more careful with that and selective, especially as you keep getting higher gear, because they go more and more expensive. Then from one small diamond you go to 2 small diamonds, and then you go to 3, which is the latest gear, and it's more and more expensive to build, but gives you higher and higher stats. So you want to have a combination here that, depending on the characters, especially Wonder Woman, that she does a lot of stuff with crit. So she's here, she stuns if she crits, she puts silence if she crits, she gets damage reduction if she has crit. Then here she gets crit damage if she has crit. So you want to have crit on her. Speed is nice on many characters to have, and you can only get it from here. So speed is very nice, especially in some support that you need to take a lot of turns, because then she will do her advanced attack a lot, and will put like give offense up, like strong attack and frantic, more crit to her teammates, or he can do a heal here automatically, and as people are getting more turns, you can use more ultimates, and they will be doing more basic attacks. He has speed because his basic attack puts blocks the next, so he can't get stunned as he is doing his basic attack, and as he doing here, he calls assists, and he gets, where is it? Somewhere here. Yes. When he's doing basic attack, he will also get a shield. So he will keep renewing his shield, and it's nice to have him with extra speed stat to do that. And also he has like here, when something you may want to take into account on some characters, like, where is it for here? He gets damage reduction for the first 2 rounds, so maybe you don't want him to have him the fastest, because if he gets more turns, he will lose that. But here, for him, he has the opposite, basically. Like, when his allies do basic attacks, he gets more damage reduction, he doesn't lose it by turn, so you want to have fast characters around him. Generally speaking, heal set is useless. No one is using heal. A little bit him, but even him, heal gives basically heal crit, which is you have a chance for your heal to do a bigger heal. You more want to have speed on him, so he heals more here. He heals more often for a smaller amount, but more often. And you want to have damage on him, so he reliably heals, because his heal is based on his damage. So here heals equal to 85% of attack, and he's a very decent healer. You kind of want to build him if you have him. And here he heals equal to attack. So you kind of prefer to have him have more attack. His basic will heal a little bit harder, but more so he will heal reliably more based on this. Then you have a small chance of him healing more, but it's not so. You don't control it that much, if this makes any sense. So for her, you want to have speed because she revives people. I won't speak about everyone. There is like so many infographics which have the better suggested gear. There's also a little bit of situational or how you like to have a character built. Maybe you want to put damage on Raven because she also drains a little bit, but if she has more damage than her teammates, then the final boss in this one here hits the person that did the most damage, so you kinda want Raven not to and kills them basically. So your strategy here is to have Raven do less damage than her teammates and keep reviving them, than Raven doing a lot of damage and then he kills her and no more revives. So maybe you want to have a little bit of damage on her if her other teammates all do more damage than her, but you kinda want to have her health on her because her revive is based on her health and you mostly have her there to revive. So it revives based on her current HP. So you want her to have more HP, first of all to stay alive to revive people, but also them reviving with higher HP. So you kinda need to read the kits, generally speaking, or here you have him having a team synergy here with block. So if you build a team around him, you want to have a lot of block. He also has a lot of block in his kit where he blocks the opponents gain damage basically. So you kind of want to have block on those, and maybe someone else that you have with them, for example him that also does stuff with block. But besides taking this into account to some degree, you want to have on the tanks, you want to have health, one of the most important stats. One thing that you kind of want to have a little bit into account is like these 3 and 6% might seem huge originally when you build them up, but then you see here he gets another 4, he gets another 4, will get here if you build him up here. Where is let's see here. So here if you activate this, if you see here, it's equipped on Wonder Woman activated. Another 6% HP. Here you have another 4.5%, another 6% here. So the attack and the health stat become a little bit less impactful than, for example, speed that you can only equip like this, because you can also just upgrade higher and get stats from here to some degree. You still want to have health on tanks to. It's one of the best stats that they can have. Mini DPS, maybe you kinda want to prefer. He has crit on his kit, so you kinda, and you put him with Zatanna that also gives him a frantic, so he is basically kinda guaranteed to crit, but because you kinda want him to be doing more reliably the damage, you want to have a attack, but also his recuperates that he puts here heals to equal to attack, so attack is generally very nice to have on DPS, but if they have something with crit on their kits like Wonder Woman, yeah, it's depending on the kit. I think I showed most characters like what I have equipped now. Speed is nice many times to have because maybe, for example, Wonder Woman maybe goes fast and does put silence on someone. So maybe you kinda want her to have more speed and to put silence on opposing Wonder Woman, and then the opposing Wonder Woman cannot use her ultimate. But now Wonder Woman is hitting the front row, so if the opponents have Wonder Woman in the back row, this is less of a strategy. Yeah. So I'm just gonna scroll a little bit through some characters like Zatanna, for example. You need her to keep putting offense up and frantic to her teammates, and her having a little bit of damage to survive and maybe complement a little bit with the damage. those are not necessarily the best builds that, or him having speed, then he will reach his second turn faster and use his regenerate, so he will heal up from this. Yeah, I gave you some examples here on what to do with. Generally speaking, you kinda want to have a speed on supports. You want to have health on tanks. You want to have damage and crit on DPS. Yeah. Let's go here. What to buy with those? Let's see here. So it's kinda because in some situations you have a lot of gold. In some situations you are capped from gold to upgrade those, or to because this takes a lot of gold, and to even to upgrade here takes 800k gold. So if you keep buying everything with gold here, it's after a while you will be out of gold and you can't use gold to upgrade your characters or even their levels. They take a lot of gold to upgrade the levels. After that, it will take a lot of gold to put levels more and more. So you can't keep buying everything. You buy what you're low on, like this, for example. If I have a little bit more of this, then I can put the level on him. So I kind of want to rush this a little bit, or I buy this a little bit because maybe I was very close to putting this on a character, for example, to bring him to the next stage. Maybe you are out of those and you need to buy them temporarily because you have collected, let's say, you have all those here, but you don't have those. So maybe you want to rush this. Side note, maybe save those for legendaries because they're rare. And usually I go in here, buy with diamonds those two here, the first time only, that costs 300 and 180 because I kinda need those. Maybe buy a little bit stuff with gold that I'm short on, but not everything with gold in here. Maybe I will buy this one time if I only need 3 of them and I have done my daily for the team ups. Maybe, but extremely early. Maybe I will buy. I don't really buy those, but maybe I'm very close to bringing a character and I buy it once, or maybe I need a little bit of this to bring the next character up. Maybe I will buy it once or twice just to bring him up one day earlier so I can push the campaign and the next day claim more of those. Maybe, but I'm usually like buy what you low here, don't buy them always because you kinda need to save gold. Depends on your gold situation. And if you're limited here by shards or by if you have the training here to keep putting on characters, or you have those little here, the bolts to put more into gear. If you have a lot of those, then use them to upgrade characters directly. Don't buy them here, stuff here in the shop. If you have a lot of gold saved and you need more of those here, for example, to upgrade him, to put him in a different next level, maybe you buy this a little bit. It's not black and white. In some situations you spend a little bit here, but usually I just go in here, buy this. If I have a lot of gold saved up, I may buy something that I need, but for a short period of time. Then here, usually you buy the best gear that you want. You kind of put an eye on want to put on different characters. Also here, those two here pieces have their first stat different. Like if you see here, this is attack bonus, which is usually better than attack, because the percentage of attack. It can be HP, it can be other things. It can be crit, for example. Here it's more rare that you want to have on Wonder Woman, and they have the other 3 basically the same, and the other 4 pieces have the fourth stat be different. So here is crit, here is block break, here is crit resistance. So his attack bonus. So you kind of want to know what stats you want to have on characters, and maybe try to put the best stats here or build them up. For example, I don't want crit resistance for her. I only build it up until it gives me crit, which is very important for her. And then I just leave it here and put in a different character when I have the third one. For like the 3 diamond here, 3 small diamonds for Wonder Woman to use on. So that's basically with gear. So here when we have it here, I always buy those here, the small, how they called, equipment enhancement part, whatever. I always buy those because I'm always short of those, and I buy pieces here that I think that I want to have to upgrade the character. That I think maybe I only have this here at level 1 on Wonder Woman, so maybe I want to buy it more. If I see it here with crit, maybe I want to buy it so I put it in Wonder Woman. But this is also a little bit risky because maybe it's health, so maybe it's just a wasted 50k. Or yeah, basically you buy those here that you need. If I have all my characters at 1 little diamond with this, and I have many characters with speed, I buy this and I use it. If I have a lot of those of the level 2 with speed, I'm gonna wait to buy them on level 3. Kind of like this. Whatever you need, what will be a good upgrade for you. Like, you prioritize your best characters, like Wonder Woman that does a lot of damage. Generally speaking, this piece here with defense is not that much of a good stat, so it's kind of min-max on your best characters if they have good fourth stat, like this has for Wonder Woman that gives her crit. And then you kind of want to build this up, but defense is not that great of a stat. You want to have more HP or attack or crit that they gain here. Defense and armor piercing are not the best stats to have, but if I build him up until he gets attack bonus, yes, it can be nice. But this is not so much of a valuable gear than the other ones, especially the ones with the first stat, like the two here, this and this, can be very important and impactful. But even here, like having crit or here having HP for many tanks, depends on the character a little bit. So here you buy character shards. You can not unlock characters by having many shards, but definitely Lex and Zatanna are priorities here, and then him here, Red Hood is very, very strong. The other ones, not so much. If you have a lot of this, maybe you can buy the 8 metal that you can put on any epic or legendary to put 1 more star on them, which can be very nice to put the star earlier on someone, especially on legendaries. If you buy those here, you will pull an epic character, but it's generally not worth it. It's very expensive. Here you buy this here that I have sold out, which allows you to upgrade reinforcements. This can be very nice. And then you buy character shards like Nightwing if you have him. Maybe if you start at some point bring characters that it will need 160, maybe it will be of higher value to put 1 more star on Robin, because he only needs 40. Yes, Nightwing is a lot more important, but then Robin will be able to use his artifact and his skill here for level 8. He will do more damage to people that are above 50% and not only above 65. So yeah, you can slowly balance your team a little bit by bringing secondary characters, but first you prioritize Nightwing here. And you can also do like a Penguin at some point. Those generally not worth it, they're very expensive. Elite Arena here, you can select, it's already sold out, where I have a, or Wonder Woman as I have in the first row. You can select whichever legendary or epic you want to buy Sargon. This is very nice. You definitely buy Wonder Woman that you have here. Or maybe if I put Wonder Woman here, if I put her fifth star, I don't care that much to only have stats. Maybe I care to bring him up so I can put an artifact on him. So maybe I slowly start buying this. I wouldn't buy too much of Lex here unless I'm very close to putting a level and surround him, and even then I might wait a week here because you can all buy him here. Why waste this here? Wonder Woman is a better character. Maybe it's nice to start, especially if you are spending money and will eventually unlock Superman. Maybe it's nice to start hoarding those, or even this, in case you at some point pull Superman. But I think you want to buy those very mid game to and until you have more characters at a level 20 here and not at level 10. Because they are here at level 15 always, or every 5 levels they get a very nice buff for the secondary stats that is very impactful, besides the stats that they get at level 10, 20 and 30. Then you have here where you can select which characters you want, which is very nice. Raven is cheaper. Here you can buy stats for her. You generally speaking are running low of the purple here that is very nice to have. I also need a lot of those bolts here that I'm buying. Sometimes those here are a good buy here, or even those here, or even gold if you're out of it. Or if you start putting a lot of this, or you want to buy this, not too bad. Or even this here that I have to buy artifacts, I always buy this to get more artifacts. So, and here I don't buy anything. Besides that, you want to do your dailies always, just to get more and more. If you finish this, you get a little bit of one of those randomly. It's not bad. Haven't spent any money on the game. If you buy, you will unlock a green arrow. Skip this. People that spend money say that it's usually a nice buy to buy either this one here, the battle pass, that's not very expensive, or here in the store there is an offer where this one gives you a lot of diamonds one time, and it's generally a lot cheaper than the ones that they buy. So if I ever spend the money, it will be in one of those two. Here you need to have some specific tags. For example, this uses characters from Central City. Sometimes you need to have only villains or only Gotham or something like this. So it's definitely recommended to, and you kind of have to have a wide roster. But it's like here, Elite Arena, you want to have the three best teams that you have. I think team 1 and 3 that I have basically are very strong, or something similar than the ones I have. And number 2 is very bad. If you have a Sinestro, this can be a little bit stronger, but still not the best team. You usually here put 2 very strong teams and whatever you can as a third, just in the situation that we are now in the game. This here, for example, is a nice example of a team building, because you have this here, which he works with people with block. Then you have a healer and a damage dealer in here. So this team will take more blocks. They will take a lot of blocks, and they will have higher attack stat after that, because you have a both Kid Flash, but also Constantine a little bit with his generation that he puts out, healing the team up. They have a lot of sustain. They are very tanky, and then you kind of want to have Constantine spamming his attack, and you want to have a first offensive attack, then a defensive, then an offensive. It's just black and white. Sometimes you want to burst the characters out and have a lot of attack first. Sometimes you want to have more sustain and slowly burst them down. Depends on who you're fighting, of course. But you have Constantine going first, doing a lot of attacks. He also drains himself a little bit, especially with his artifact. And then you have Kid Flash healing them up, and you have a Ocean Master ulting at some point, where he will have put out many mini offense zones that he puts out, and I think where is he? I think Blue Beetle puts them out as well. So here you have him putting out Weekend, and you also have him putting out Weekend with his basic, but he also does do that with his counter attack, and then at some point he uses his ultimate, and for every stack of Weekend the opponents have, they will get a lot of bleeds. So you have his ultimate positioned in a way that it will activate once they have a little bit of stacks of Weekend on them, so it will do some damage by the blitz. It will do decent damage. You also have Nightwing, maybe stopping an opponent's DPS from starting the team, doing his stun. You also kind of want him to stun later, because he will get more positive effects, and he has a higher chance by positive effects. I'm just giving this as an example of how you can think about the game. So this for each stamp of buff he has, chance of stun increases by 10%. So he starts from 60, and if he has 4 buffs, then it will be 100%, and this here gives him some buffs. So you kind of want him to use his ultimate later, and yeah, it's or here you just go with Wonder Woman very fast, maybe with a Red Arrow as well. They both will get the frantic stats from Zatanna if you have them properly built, and if you have Zatanna a higher build, then Zatanna will give to herself her frantic stats, which will be a little bit sucks, which will be a little bit of a waste. And then if this doesn't work, if you don't burst them down quickly, that you will with this team, then you have Lex using a shield on them. Maybe we get a little bit more turns, and then Wonder Woman can go again with her ultimate. Yeah, kind of like this. So I hope this has been helpful. I know it's not super extensive, but I think I pretty much touched everywhere. Good luck. If you have any questions, ask them underneath, and I will see what I can do.